Hola, bienvenidos talentos. Yo soy José Rodríguez, director de Blockchain Land en Talentland at Home. Y para esta edición de Talentland Latinoamérica, tenemos otra sección de blockchain en el cual nos acompaña un proyecto que ahorita está creciendo mucho y llamando mucho la atención. Pero antes de pasar al proyecto y con nuestro siguiente ponente de Sandbox, quisiera recordarles que pueden ver esta y todas las conferencias, ya sea en repetición a través de nuestro canal de Talent Republic o también en la página en la sección de On Demand. También si quieren conocer más de este y otro contenido, no solo en la sección de blockchain, sino algún otro, pueden ir a la página, pueden hacerlo directamente o también lo podemos hacer a través de nuestras redes sociales para mantenerse al pendiente de lo que están haciendo. También recuerden que tenemos Talent Republic TV, el cual es nuestro sitio de noticias. Y ahora vamos con Sebastien, el quien es cofundador de Sandbox, el cual es un proyecto basado también en estos mundos virtuales que hemos visto a través de estas presentaciones y en los cuales se está desarrollando un gran mundo con diferentes y muy interesantes proyectos, entre ellos, por ejemplo, Atari. Entonces, ahora vamos a darle la bienvenida a Sebastián y bienvenido a Talentland. Vamos a cambiar en inglés, pero como siempre, los voy a estar acompañando desde los comentarios y también para que dejen sus preguntas para Sebastián. Welcome, Sebastian, to Talentland.
Muchas gracias, José. Soy muy feliz a todos con presentado the Sandbox. And now I'm going to switch in English, unfortunately. It's a pleasure to be with you here, Jose, and introduce the Sandbox, our virtual world on the Ethereum blockchain with involving NFTs and Sand token. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about essentially our vision of building the metaverse, focusing on gaming, all the different partnerships and IPs and brands that are part of the Sandbox metaverse, including Atari, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Shaun the Sheep, Care Bears, and just announced the Smurf as well, and many more brands to come. All right, so without any further ado, let's jump to the metaverse and tell you more about the Sandbox. So the Sandbox, we essentially enable players and creators to enter a gaming virtual world where they can create games, they can make items, own items, and then trade, exchange, and monetize their items. They can socialize, interact, and make new friends. They can truly own their land, which are like digital piece of a map where games can be published, played, and monetized. And they can participate in a new business model, taking part in play to earn, where players can enter for free and be rewarded for their action, for their time, for the resource they are collecting in the game, and they can trade those resources with other players to monetize them. So essentially in Sandbox, you can create games, play games alone or with friends. You can earn sand and explore the metaverse. You can socialize and interact with other players, and you're entering a virtual world next to major brands and IPs like Atari, Square Enix, and many others, with and use the content from these brands to make your own games. So creating games with Atari content, for example. This is the future of gaming, where players and creators are being rewarded for their engagement and their participation in the ecosystem, in growing the value of the ecosystem. This is the disruption that the Sandbox is offering to players and creators. So let me tell you quickly about our background and the company. We are not new in the space. We've actually have over 8 years of experience in both gaming and user-generated content. We started in 2012 with a mobile game on iOS and Android called the Sandbox, which had a large success since we've been growing it to over 40 million installs, and even launched a sequel called the Sandbox Evolution in 2016. In the Sandbox games, players in total have made over 70 million creations, sharing their 2D pixel worlds in an online gallery where other players could try them, play them. But we also uncovered some issues. Essentially, we had fantastic creators, fantastic players that were building amazing content on the platform, and we had literally no way for us as developers to reward them for the time and the content and all the creation they did. So creators didn't own their creation. We couldn't offer them any financial reward for the content. So there were no way really for them to participate in the success of the game that they contributed to. That's why toward the end of 2018, we came up with building a new version of the Sandbox, this time in 3D, in multiplayer, multi-platform, and that use blockchain technology and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, to enable creators to monetize their content. The team behind this new Sandbox, this third episode, is essentially the same team that's been building the previous one. We have over 10 to 20 years of experience in making games, and we are now we've grown the team over the last few months to 70 people around the world. So with large team in Latin America, in Argentina, 2 people in Korea, 1 people in Japan, and more than 15 people in France, plus various people scattered around the world. So we also have a unique approach as part of the Sandbox gaming metaverse, where we are involving major partners. These can be either entertainment IPs and brands like Atari, Square Enix, Care Bears, Shaun the Sheep, CryptoKitties, Roller Coaster Tycoon, and just announced yesterday for the Smurf. They can be major actors in the blockchain ecosystem, for example, OpenSea, MakerDAO, Dab.com, Matic, and a few others that are also contributing to enabling users to access the Sandbox platform in a more easy way. They can be game studios that comes from the traditional game industry and are going to build the first game experience available on our platform. Overall, the Sandbox on its map has many partners, and all those partners are going to provide games or social experience using their IP, bringing their community in our virtual world, and enabling them to interact in a new way through 3D voxels. This is an example of the Atari Social Hub, where players will be able to come and connect and interact with each other, play some of the new version of the Atari classic games like Pong, Asteroids, Centipede, etc. Also built a farm based on the Shaun the Sheep IP, which is pretty popular around the world, and players will be able to enjoy their favorite characters from the IP. As a gaming platform, we are also providing tools for creators to build great games and great experiences. So the Sandbox platform essentially has 4 main tools. The first one is called VoxEdit. It's a 3D editor. It's available for free on PC and Mac, and it allows you to create 3D models and animate them. Those models can be shared and used with other software. It can be Unity, it can be Magica Voxel, but it can be also exported on the Sandbox marketplace, where all the magic happens. Those content are then turned into non-fungible tokens, NFTs, that can then be sold, traded, and exchanged with other users. So we say VoxEdit plus the marketplace VoxEdit and the marketplace are an NFT maker. The second component on the Sandbox platform is the marketplace, where all the content made with VoxEdit can be uploaded and turned into non-fungible token, NFTs, allowing users to then start trading, selling, and monetizing them. We've also run several pre-sale of lands on our marketplace with great success. I'll get to the land and the map in a few minutes afterwards. The third component is the Game Maker. So it's a tool that you install on PC and Mac. It's currently in alpha version, and it allows you to create games using the content you bought on the marketplace or you made with VoxEdit. And something really unique about this Game Maker is that you don't need any programming knowledge. It's really no code. So you just drag and drop the content into your world. You can place it, and all this content comes with already made behaviors. Like an enemy will start automatically to look at you, try to fight you. You can kill him, you can collect rewards, etc. So it's really easy to create all sort of game experience and build games without any programming knowledge. And that's one of the unique strengths of our platform and making really game making as accessible as everyone. The last component of our platform that's not yet available is the game client, which we're aiming to launch in beta towards the end of this year, in December, which will essentially enable any players to enter the virtual world through a social hub, socialize, interact with other players, and then play all the games made with the game maker and publish on lands by the creators. Voxedit has been a huge success as part of our strategy, providing a free 3D tool that has been downloaded more than 100,000 times, used by thousands of artists around the world to produce content and monetize this content as NFTs. So we've been able to reach out to a community of artists who've been familiar and really talented at creating content and bring them the benefit of NFTs and blockchain technology as part of our gaming platform. And something really unique about Sandbox is that we we let you play with your 3D creation. So they are not just static models that are beautiful to look, but you cannot make anything with. Now you can turn any 3D model into a game asset. That's really cool. And the second strength of Sandbox platform, as I mentioned, on our game maker, that's no code required, just drag and drop that spaceship, that enemy in your world. It comes with attributes, it comes with behaviors already assigned, and you can create within minutes game experience. Now, let me talk about the game itself. To introduce games, I'd like to also present you our map and the metaverse. In the Sandbox map, we have a total of 464 lands and not a single more. Each land is a unique token on a blockchain based on its coordinate, the location on the map. And because it's on the blockchain, it's public, it's transparent, you can see who owns which land, and you can also make sure that there is the provable proof of the scarcity, so that we as a developer cannot make more land than we announce. And this is very important because it is why it makes land so valuable to a lot of people. In a traditional game industry, you have to trust the game developer to make sure that when they announce that one game item is scarce or limited, it's actually true. You have really no way to know if, like when they say there's only 10 lands for sale, there will be actually 10 and not a million behind. Here, because the blockchain is a public database, a public ledger, you can really prove it. And the way we organize our map and our metaverse through various rounds of pre-sale, selling little parts of it in advance before the games opens, and involving major brands and IPs as part of those pre-sale, has contributed to its success. We've been able to sell for more than $1.7 million of lands through 4 rounds of pre-sale within just minutes. The total value of the map as of today is over $25 million. So we have a virtual world with a map with no more than 166,000 lands worth $25 million, where creators, game developers, artists will be able to publish their game experience next to big IPs and brands like you can see on this example, Atari, and be able to monetize them. I think it's something really unique in terms of gaming virtual world. When you think about it, like when you play Minecraft, when you play Roblox, you are actually accessing different games. Maybe you have a gallery of games, little bit like on the Steam store or the App Store, where you can see those a lot of icons and games as galleries, but you don't have this really logic of map where one game is, what does it mean for one game to be next to another? It actually means a lot because that game can receive the exposure, the traffic from the neighbor lands, and your location on the map is going to matter, just like in the real world where you were building, where you're putting your business as a restaurant, as a hotel, as a shopping mall, maybe, does matter based also on like how attractive the rest of the area is. And because and it's also a huge opportunity for creators, because if they're making great content that can attract more players around, then the overall value of the land that they build their game on and the surrounding lands will also grow accordingly to the success of their game. So they are directly involved in the success of the whole platform, and because they own the land, they own the different token on the platform, they are becoming really stakeholder on the success of the sandbox. And whoops, this part will need to cut. What will you be able to do within the sandbox virtual world and map? You'll be able to explore more than 160,000 lands owned by players, discovering content, using the unique transportation system where you can use portals to move fast between several lands, or just walk and jump from one neighboring land to the other by moving to the edges of the land. You'll be able to enjoy specifically handcrafted land with games with major IPs and brands, and you'll be able to explore procedurally generated land as well, so you'll always have actions to complete with it. It's going to be social, so it's really important, something that we missed on the previous Sandbox versions of Sandbox. Now you can create your avatar, customize your avatar to the look and feel you like, and interact with other users, chat with them, and discover the metaverse with them. It's really important, as I mentioned, the customization of the look and feel of your avatar, the fact that you can chat and do a few more mini games and activities, such as these paper planes that you can see as example, and also the fact that you can showcase and evolve your skills with other players. And because it's a game, and our background is in gaming, we understand what is retention, what is core loop, and meta game progression. So we're creating a season-based gameplay where you will be joining a faction with your avatar. You will be able to choose among 3 of them, and through this faction, you'll have to complete quests that send you around different parts of the metaverse, entering lands where you either have to fight against enemies and kill them, defeating them and collecting resources, or you have to complete other objectives that can be very varied, from finding items, finding specific points, saving characters, etc. And through all the loot you acquire through those missions and quests, you'll be able to level up your character, level up your equipment, and bring more value to the NFTs you acquire through the gameplay. The play to earn is really essential in our vision of the metaverse and the vision of the sandbox. So in the sandbox, as I mentioned, you can enter for free as a player. You don't need to pay anything, and still you can earn various resources and tokens that, because they are on the blockchain, they can be traded with other players and potentially sold to them, monetized on marketplaces, the Sandbox marketplace, but potentially also external marketplace. We are really permissionless in this aspect, so we don't need to have the central control, and we are not the central authority that defines what a player can and cannot do in our virtual world in terms of items ownership, trading, and monetization. The season will be announced very soon, all the details. But the high-level concept is the idea that once the faction that win that season will be able to receive rewards in token. It's also, as I mentioned, an RPG before, so that means you will have an inventory, you can follow your progression, you can have various items that give you more power on the different attributes of your characters, and you can also level up by finding special items across the virtual world. So here's a quick overview of like your avatar and its inventory and how you can upgrade these different skills through the equipment. Now, let me you a little about non-fungible token in a very simple and accessible manner, as much as I can. The idea, you're probably familiar already with Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are cryptocurrencies. They are fungible. Every Bitcoin is essentially the same as any other Bitcoin, so you can exchange it with any other. It can be divided up to 18 decimals, so you can have 0.0001 Bitcoin. With non-fungible token, every item is actually unique, so it cannot be interchanged with another. They are distinct and it cannot be divided. Take an example of a gold sword and a silver sword. Those are different items and you cannot have like 0.00001 of a sword. You have either 0, 1, or many. NFTs is an essential part to establishing play to earn. Is because the players can finally own the items they bought in the game or they earn in the game, or even better, because Sandbox is a user-generated content platform, the item they created themselves, that we can have finally a value system in place where the items you own because you created them or you earned them can have value through their scarcity and through their attributes. So the benefits for players of having this technology is essentially that we have marketplaces where those items can be sold and monetized directly. Those marketplaces do not need to be run by the developer themselves. Actually, players can start trading items outside of the game, and they can because the items are stored in the wallet from the users, not in a centralized database of the game developer. We have also the proof of the scarcity, as I mentioned before, which is essential to finally have a real value appreciation for items. If I do not believe that this item is a one copy only item, it's hard for me to say if it's a true, an original, or a copy, if there's really one or more, and then appreciate it in value. But now, because of that, we've seen game items that has been sold for over $100,000 per game item, because there's only one in the world and it's provable on the blockchain. And finally, because it's on the blockchain, then we are seeing interoperability as one of the future main use case where one game item can actually be used across different games. Imagine you take your Fortnite character and you can use that character because it's on the blockchain into other RPG game. You don't lose all your progress, you don't lose all your item when you enter a new game. All the content from one game belongs to you and can be reused in other games, enabling you different experience, faster access, etc. We think it's really powerful, and we are excited to see how game developers can use this in the future. In the Sandbox platform, beside NFTs, we've also introduced our own token, Sand, which is a main ERC20 utility token that enables players to trade content, collecting sand through gameplay, spending sand to play games, purchase equipment, buy assets, buy land. Sand is also a way for them to participate in the governance of the virtual world, voting on decisions, participating priorities on the roadmap, participating in the governance of the foundation, where they can vote for the games that will be receiving grants from us to be developed or not in our virtual world. And they can also use sand for staking. Essentially, holding sand will reward you more sand. It's like incentive. And Sand is now available on many exchanges around the world. It was launched by mid-August on Binance and can be traded. So if you earn Sand by playing or selling your content, you can actually earn either real money through playing in the Sandbox. And that's it for today. I'd like to invite you to join the Metaverse, join the party with us, and be involved into, an open virtual world where players can finally own their item, own their creation, and be socialized, interact, and monetize their games. That's it. Thank you very much for learning more about the Sandbox today, and we hope to see you.
Muchas gracias, Sebastien. Thank you very much for being with us in Talentland. Muchas gracias a todos los que nos acompañaron y también los que dejaron sus comentarios. Gracias por habernos acompañado y recuerden que esta y todas las pláticas las pueden ver nuevamente en nuestro canal de YouTube y también on demand. Thank you very much for being with us, Sebastien.
Thank you, Jose. It's a pleasure. Muchas gracias a todos.